So before we start this video, I want to say I have a lot of videos planned for this month because it's the holiday season. I'm going to be reading scary Christmas stories like today and regular Christmas stories. I plan on doing Christmas covers. Um, there might be some live streams, but I'm not promising anything. Most of them will probably just be videos and not live streams. And I want to do Christmas covers. Did I already say that? I probably did. And I want to try vlogging kind of like we did on Thanksgiving. And yeah, so they're not going to be super long videos, but it should be fun. This one is called Christmas Tree Decorations. Now, this is a scary story. If you get scared easily, don't like scary stories, don't watch this. I have to make that a point to say, watch at your own, and it's not my fault if you get scared. Okay, so it was Christmas Eve, and an 11-year-old girl named Juliet was decorating her Christmas tree. Her mother worked as a nurse at a local hospital, and the two of them lived alone in a small apartment in the suburbs of Paris. Late that evening, Juliet's mother called and said she would not be home until late in the night. Juliet continued decorating the tree with the lovely things her and her mother had bought from a shop. She draped multicolored Christmas lights around the tree and hung beautiful ornaments on the branches. After placing the angel on top of the Christmas tree, she finally finished decorating, and sat down to relax and watch TV. Even though she was all alone on the sixth floor, Julia felt safe as she gazed outside and looked at the lights of the Parisian skyline. From her window, as I lose my spot because I looked away, she could see the Eiffel Tower and the Champs de Mars. That's probably pronounced wrong. Most of the other tenants in the building had gone home to spend Christmas Eve with their relatives in the countryside, and the apartment was mostly almost deserted. Juliet was growing bored, waiting for her mother to return. Suddenly, she thought she heard scratching noises at the door. She turned off the television and listened carefully. There was an eerie silence. Curious, she slowly approached the door and looked through the peephole. To her surprise, she saw a man standing outside dressed in a red suit with fluffy white trim. He was large and fat. That's offensive. With a dirty gray beard and wore a red hat on his head. He knocked louder. Nervous and concerned, she asked, "Who's there?" "It's Santa Claus," the man replied. "Let me in, I'm cold." And at this, Juliet felt a chill down her spine. She wasn't a dummy. She knew that whoever this creepy man wasn't Santa. "My mother isn't home. Please leave," she said to the man. Peering through the peephole, Juliet watched as the man's eyes filled with anger and the face turned to a face of hate. He began knocking on the door even harder and rattling the doorknob. "It's Santa Claus, Juliet." "Have you laid out milk and cookies for me, Juliet?" She didn't tell him her name. Okay. "You know how much Santa loves milk and cookies." The young girl had a sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach. How did he know her name? There's the same feeling I had. The man began kicking and pounding on the door. She peeked out again and saw him reaching into his coat pocket for a knife. He shoved the knife through the keyhole and tried to pry it open. Juliet was terrified. She didn't know what to do. "If you don't go away, I'll call the police," she shouted to him. All of a sudden, the knocking stopped. Juliet stood perfectly still, afraid to move. Minutes passed, and she started to think the man might have been scared away by her threat. She slowly moved towards the door and looked through the peephole to see if he was gone. The hallway seemed to be empty. Suddenly, she saw the man running down the hallway with an axe in his hand. Juliet screamed and ran to the closet in a panic. She crouched down behind the coats as she feared he would find her. She heard a boom as the man tried to smash down the door. There was a mighty crack as the door gave way, and the man crashed through, splintering the wood. Laughing to himself, he called out to Juliet, "Where are you? Don't be afraid. We'll We'll have some fun tonight. Where are you hiding? The crazed intruder walked around the room searching for the girl. Juliet was curled up in the closet, terrified and feared. She dreaded to think what he planned to do with her. Suddenly, the handle of the closet began to move, and she heard the man laughing. Juliet, I know you're in here. Open up for Santa. Open up before I open for you. The man swung the axe, and it struck the closet with a huge bang, tearing into the flimsy wood. Juliet screamed and began to cry. She grabbed a wired coat hanger and twisted it to a point. Smart child. She waited with her eyes wide open and her hands trembling. Then another crash on the closet door gave way in a hail of splinters. The horrible man tore down the doors by the hinges and put his head in between the coats. He laughed as he saw her. Juliet held up the pointed coat hanger and bravely threw it into the man's face, which went straight into his eye. He recoiled in pain, screaming with rage, and he ripped the wire out of his eye and grabbed Juliet and dragging her out of the closet. The man pushed her to the ground and tightly grabbed her by the neck, leaning over her. Oh my word, that is way too much detail. And he looks at her and goes, tonight you will be privileged, my lovely Juliet. I've got a list, I've checked it twice, and I've decided if you've been naughty or nice. You scream and beg for your life. But, no, it's gonna murder her anyway. Bad girls get an axe, good girls get the knife. Ugh. So, after midnight, Juliet's mother returned home. She saw the front door was open. She rushed in and looked for her daughter. Then she began to scream in horror as the Christmas tree was decorated with Juliet, and her severed head was right on top. Oh my gosh. That's disturbing. That one actually gave me chills. I don't think that's the first story to give me chills, but it's one of the ones I've read that have been very, very uncomfortable. Next to the story we read about Peko-chan on our live stream. Yeah, no, stories about cannibalism and cutting people into pieces. Those ones get me. Those ones are weird. So that's that story. Nah. I'm not fond of that. I do say a lot how I like how stories have details. That's a lot of detail. That's a lot of detail. But I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!